everybody, welcome to our focus of the week for this week. Today I want to talk a little more about gluteal draping and leg draping with the posterior portion of the leg so your client is prone. So I know we talked about it a little bit last week, but I really want to fine tune your skills and I really want you to practice. Even with the person that you're working with, you could do it 10 times in a row. Make it cerebral, right? Make it habit so that you really kind of have a flow, because like what we talked about, truly, you can give a phenomenal massage, but if your draping is really fumbly and messy, it can really distract and detract from the massage session as a whole and just the flow of the energy. So getting really comfortable with your draping is a big part of your practice. And be patient with yourselves. Remember, it's a massage practice, not a perfect. Okay, so that being said, I am going to be using my demo leg is a yoga mat, a wrapped up blanket, and a pillow, because that's what I had to work with, and it's going to work out great. So let's go ahead and start with the prone leg drape. So it's very important that you go ahead and get the blanket completely out of the way and that you know that you have the end of the blanket so it's really easy to pull back. So the less steps you have to do in a drape, the better. Make sure your blanket is fully out of the way. Even if it falls off the other leg, you can always bring it back when you're done. Okay, down body hand. Down body hand is going to come to the knee. We're going to talk about that being the knee for right now. Down body hand at the knee. Up body hand is going to be right at the greater trochanter. So it's going to be about right here on the hip. Notice my up body hand isn't moving at all. I'm keeping the sheet and my hand touched to that posterior and lateral leg. So the client knows right where I'm at. This is going to come, and notice I keep the drape low. You never want to create any form of a draft. Even though we know we may not be able to see, they have no idea because they're face down with their face in the face cradle. So keep the sheet down at the leg. So for a tuck drape, which is the first drape I'm going to show you, come just above the knee and just give a nice gentle tuck. It doesn't have to be a bunch, 1 or 2 little pushes to secure it underneath that leg. Now, this isn't a full leg drape, because right here is the ischial tuberosity on my client, and I have this much more of the hamstring and the posterior leg to access. This wouldn't be a full leg, okay? So how do I get more access and availability right here? I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna take the end of this, because I know right where it is, and I'm gonna create a big folds hold. You could come and take it up and just do a roll, but more often than not, it just rolls right back down, and that's frustrating. So I'm going to take the edge of my blanket, or my sheet, excuse me. I'm going to create this, I call it the triangle fold, because big folds hold. So triangle fold, I'm going to bring it right under here. This is going to get tucked right above the ASIS. So it's if I were tucking it into the table right here. I'm going to tuck this into the ASIS. I can secure that with a blanket if I have one. And now I have a nice full leg drape. Ischial tuberosity is right here, back of the hamstring to the popliteal fossa, and down to the knee, okay? And the lower leg. So to come out of that, I always like to bring this down first, give my little untuck, just a gentle tuck this way, take it out, and pull that back down. Just that easy, okay? To do that as a diaper drape, very similar. Get the blanket out of the way. Down body hand, up body hand. Don't want to create any sort of a draft, so I keep the sheet low to the body so it always keeps contact with their skin. Now I'm going to take my down body hand, bend and flex the knee, come right up underneath, right above the knee. So I'm not right on top of the patella itself, I'm just above it. And then I'm going to take this hand, my up body hand, and it's just going to do a gentle scoop. It got stuck on my blanket. It's going to get a gentle scoop. It doesn't have to be a bunch. Notice it's a really small amount of fabric. I'm going to bring the leg down, and then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to come right here. Here's the edge of my sheet. Do my triangle fold, tuck, and boom. So really the difference with the diaper drape and the tuck drape is just going to be that added security. This, obviously, the leg is really holding that sheet down. So especially if a client is new to massage, maybe they haven't met you before, or they're a little bit of anxious about the session anyway, maybe a diaper drape is a really good way to go. If they have really big legs, they're comfortable, they've had massages before, A tuck drape is definitely sufficient, especially if it's with a gentleman or a woman and they're wearing underwear as well, depending on their comfort level and how you've talked to them. You can get away with a little tuck drape, but the diaper drape is also an option. To come out of that same way, it's hard to kind of pull at the ankle to have the knee gently pop up because they're not connected. So for this one, it would kind of be the same. You would go in out of it just as you would come in, come up above the knee, bring this down, and set the leg down. So a little bit of an extra step, but if you practice it, you can have a really nice flow. Okay, so that's the posterior leg drape. Now we're going to talk about a gluteal drape. So a gluteal drape, you actually want to come up, you don't want exposure of the gluteal cleft itself, but you want to be able to have availability to get in and around that lateral border of the sacrum. But first, you want to make sure that your client is comfortable. So the biggest thing that you need to do is practice your explanation. So during my initial intake with my client, I would say, I'd love the availability to be able to work into your hips. You could say glutes, but even if you say kind of the back of the hips into the glutes, I would like the opportunity to work there, maybe to alleviate a little bit of low back pain. You're going to learn about that this term in massage too, to have that availability. In order to do that, I'm going to go ahead and bring the drape about right here. You'll remain covered with the rest at all times. Is that something that's comfortable for you to perform that gluteal drape? And or just getting work into the glutes and the hips in general. There's more external rotators than just the glutes, but that's what most people are most familiar with. So that being said, I try to build that rapport and let them know what's coming ahead of time with that drape. So I always let them know I might like to do some hip work if they're comfortable with me working into the hips and possibly even doing a gluteal drape. So I know before I even get them on the table that that's something that I would like to do in the massage. So they're already probably a little more comfortable with the idea of that. Now that I know they're okay with that work, I'm going to go ahead and actually show you a good glute drape. But now say we're in the session, we just finished their back, we redraped their back, we're going to go down to the leg. I would turn to my client, facing their head, of course, because they're face down, so I want to make sure that they can hear me. And this is the instructions that I would give to them. Okay, so now I would like to go ahead and perform that gluteal drape in the hip that we had talked about. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the drape to about right here in order to have availability to work on your skin in that area. Is this still comfortable for you? So again, I want to do the explanation of what the drape is, where that line and boundary is going to be, and then make sure they're still comfortable with it at this point. Okay, so we're all a go on all those fronts. We've got a good, clear explanation, and we've communicated with our client about what our purpose and intent is. So I'm going to go back and do exactly the same thing. Bring the blanket out of the way. Down body hand at the knee. Up body hand at the greater trochanter. I'm going to just do a basic tuck drape. So notice, again, this always stays at the leg. Tuck my sheet in just above the knee. Do my fold, although this time I'm going to do my fold, and instead of just doing it like this, I'm going to kind of fan that up like this to about the point just lateral of the gluteal cleft. Okay, so now I'm right here, still have a fold, but I just brought a little bit more of it with me. Fold right here, come up underneath, tuck, and in. So now I have low leg, hamstring and thigh, ischial tuberosity, sacrum would be right here with the coccyx, and gluteal cleft. So I'm coming in, so now I have the accessibility to work all of the glutes. So obviously you can do a gluteal drape from the back. Cassandra showed you that in the video in week 2. And that's a great option if you're going to just do a little bit of warm up. But as you will get into massage 2 and you learn the therapeutic intent of working with the hip, it's going to be really beneficial to actually combine it with work on the leg. So getting a comfortable glute drape and really getting good, clear explanation of your intent, and even practicing on your client at home, even if they're wearing underwear, just to get comfortable and familiar with the mechanics and the movement of it. Again, to come out of here, I take this down first. And even if I worked the glutes and then was just going to work on the rest of the leg, I might go ahead and redrape the glutes as well. And then because I have a tuck drape, all I have to do is just give a gentle tug, bring it back down, and bring it this way. Okay, so that's going to be your focus of the week. Practice your draping. Prone, practice the tuck drape, practice the diaper drape, practice the gluteal drape. Don't forget explanation and permission. Two really big key things I want you guys to focus on. So continue to practice all that, and there's more to come about flow for the leg.